My name is Andrew Kay. I'm a sculptor. I live in Rollestone, Perth, Western Australia. And for the last 12 months, I've been working on a sculpture, the Boatman, that you can see behind me. It's cast in bronze at my one-man studio here in Rollestone. And I thought what I'd like to do in this video is show you all the stages, from the drawing on the wall to the finished bronze sculpture. Sculpture is going to be modelled using plasticine, and what I need to do is make an armature that will act like a skeleton to support the plasticine. So here I am, I've drawn the image to full scale on the wall, and then I'm tracing the shell section with paper that will act like a template that I'll use here to cut out of ply the central section of the shell. So once I've cut that out, I then start building up the form of the shell using these wooden sections here. And then once I've done that, I suspend the piece approximately the height it's going to be, and then cover it all in chicken wire. And that chicken wire will actually support the plasticine as I start modeling the shell. And here I am, I've just started modeling and putting, which is basically a pretty thin layer of plasticine over the chicken wire, and you can see the form of the shell slowly developing as I go over and model it. I've got these legs here just to give me an idea what these poles, these legs, give me an idea of what the piece was going to look like when it's finished. So the shell section is pretty well finished now, and this shows the piece when I've finished modeling the legs, and this little fish here that's acting like a rudder for the shell boat, and just going around just checking that everything's okay. And this is one of the squids that form the base of the oars on the piece. And then when the modeling's finished, it's time to make the moulds, and this is one of the first mould sections here. I form clay walls around various sections and then fill in those with plaster, and then we'll just work over the whole of the shell in these small sections of plaster that will become separate mold pieces. Later on you'll see them. And this is one of the final mold sections. It's got a clay wall, and that's held in place by these little metal pins here. And that's the first wash of plaster on the mold. And this is making of the mold for the squid and the fish. So once you've got that to that stage, you just pour plaster into the mold, and that becomes one half of the mold. And these are the molds that have been taken off, the plaster molds that have been taken off the body of the shell and the octopus. And I have to make a bronze casting of each one of those sections. And this is one section here. I use a process called the lost wax process, and I put wax into this mold section, and you can see what they call the runners that will supply the metal into the mold. And you take that wax out of the mold, and it's embedded in a mold material, and then put in the kiln for 2 days at about 650 degrees C to burn out any moisture and any wax. And then the cavity that's left in the mold, then you pour the bronze into. And this is one of the castings, and you can see the runner system. That will eventually be cut off, just leaving the shell behind. And this, what looks like a load of scrap metal, is actually all the components that are going to make up the sculpture. Each one of them are numbered, so I've got a pretty good idea of where they're going to fit, and then you have to start putting them together. And sometimes, because of the heat that's involved in welding and casting, these sections don't quite fit, so you need a big hammer quite often just to beat them into submission and get them into place. So these are the two main sections. I've tack welded them together, and the piece is starting to form. The next stage is the legs. These are all the leg sections here. They've been cleaned up, and I have to weld them together, and then the first leg is welded onto the body of the shell, and then the second leg is going in place, and then finally the last two legs, and the piece can now support itself. But you can still see all the marks, all the welding sections, how they differentiate from the natural cast surface. So the final stage is patination, where the tones of the metal are all evened out and you won't be able to see the welding sections anymore. So this is after patination, this nice green color on the shell, and then the body of the piece is just a natural bronze color. So I hope you found this video informative, and thank you for watching.